In this video, I'm going to go over the 2024 SQA National 5 Maths Exam Paper 1 solutions. Here's question 1. Evaluate 3 2/3 take away 1 1/4. So what do we have? We have two mixed numbers. The first thing we've got to do is we're going to change them into improper fractions. So here's what we get. We get 3 2/3 is 11 over 3. How do I get that? 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 more is 11. We do the same for the second mixed number, change it to an improper fraction, and we get 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 more on the top, that's 5 quarters. Now, we've got different denominators, right? So we need to change them to the same denominator. So we multiply this one by 4, and we multiply this one by 3. But if we do that for denominators, we must do the same to the numerators. So here's what we get. We get 44 over 12 because we multiply both numbers here by 4. And then we get take away 15 over 12 because we multiply both of these numbers by 3. There's the two improper fractions. We've now got the same denominator, so we can subtract the numerators. So we get 12 on the bottom, 44 take away 15 is 29. How many 12s make 29? It's 2. That's 24. 2 12s, 24. So the remainder is 5. So the final answer is 2 5/12. Next question. We have a function, f of x equals x plus 3 all squared, and we want to evaluate f7. That means x is replaced by 7 here and here. So here's what we do. We just change x here into 7 and x here into 7. So the bracket becomes not x plus 3, but becomes 7 plus 3. We do the bracket first, that's 7 plus 3 is 10. And then we've got to square it. So the answer is going to be 10 times 10, 100. And that's 2 marks again for question 2. Next question. Expand and simplify x plus 1 bracket x squared minus 4x plus 5. Okay, let's do that. So there's what we have. We have to multiply these three terms by x, 1 by 1. So we do x times x squared, that is x cubed. We do x times minus 4x, that's minus 4x squared. And we do x times plus 5, that's plus 5x. We then multiply all of these three terms by 1, that's the second number here. So we get 1 times x squared is x squared, 1 times minus 4x is minus 4x, and 1 times 5 is 5. So we have to tidy up now. If we look at this, I can only see 1x cubed, 1x cubed, and then I've got minus 4x squared plus 1x squared, that's minus 3x squared, 5x take away 4x is a plus x, and then plus 5, and that's the final answer there. It's worth 3 marks. Question 4. We're given two vectors in component form, and we want to find the resultant vector 3a plus b, again expressing your answer in component form. So what do we do? 3a plus b will be 3 times this position vector, and then plus this position vector. So let's just do that now. It's going to be 3 times the first vector plus the second vector. So we have to multiply every number here by 3. That gives us 3 by 3 is 9, 3 by 4 is 12, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And all we need to do is add the other vector 5, 3, 2 onto this one here. So 9 and 5 makes 14, 12 and 3 is 15, and negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So the final answer is 15, negative 1. Question 5. The prices in pounds of the cameras on display in a shop are listed below. There they are. Calculate the median and the interquartile range of these prices. Well, the first thing we've got to do to calculate the median is to put them in order, but we don't need to because they are in order already. Now, the median is the middle point of the numbers when they're arranged in order. So there's the first 3, and there's the second 3. Now, we don't have a number in the middle, so we've got to just take the average of these two numbers here. Now, there's many ways you can get that answer, but the quickest way is to take the average, which is going to be, the median is going to equal 190 plus 210, which is 400, divided by 2, so the answer is the median equals £200. The interquartile range, we've got to find the middle of the first half and then the middle of the second half. Well, there's the one in the middle, that's going to be called that Q1. The one in the middle here is Q3. We want the interquartile range, so we want the IQR, and it's equal to Q3 take away Q1. We put the numbers in, 230 take away 160, and then the answer is £70. So 3 marks for this part A. Now, on a website, a sample of camera prices have a median of £195 and an interquartile range of 73. Make 2 valid comments comparing the prices of the cameras in the shop and on the website. Now, if we look at it, we have a median here of 195 and a median there of 200. So we can say on average, the online prices are less because 195 is less than 200. Now, what about this interquartile range? Here we have an interquartile range of 70, but online it's 73. So what can we say about this? We can then say something like this: the online prices vary more since 73 is bigger than 70. And that's worth 2 marks. Next question. We want to simplify square root of 75, take away the square root of 3. Now, these are both surds, so what we need to do is we want to try to simplify the first surd. And we do that by saying root 75 is the same as root 25 times 3. You can then make 2 square roots of this and multiply them together, so you get root 25 times root 3. Now we know the answer to this is 5 because we want a square number. When we divide 25, it must be divided by a square number to simplify it. We've got a square number 25, so now we've got the answer 5 root 3 take away root 3. Now the answer is not 5. You can't just take away the root 3's. This is 5 root 3 take away 1 root 3, so it's going to be 5 take away 1 is 4 root 3, and that's worth 2 marks. Next question. We want to solve algebraically the system of equations. That's simultaneous equations. Now, because we've got a plus here and a minus there, the best way to do it is just to multiply the first one by 2 and then the second one by 7. What will that become then? That becomes 4p take away 14r is 22. That's because I've doubled everything here. And then we've got 21p plus 14r equals 28. Now, we did this because when you've got a plus and minus, we can just add them together. We can add these two things together, these two equations. What do we get on the left? We get 25p. These cancel out, and you get 50 when you add these two numbers. So what number times 25 gives you 50? It's quite easy. It's going to be 2, so the answer is 2. Now, I want to find r now. We've got p, so I'm going to take it back to the second one because it's a positive r. It's much easier to work with. So let's put numbers in, and it's going to be 3 times, not p anymore, but p is 2. So 3 times 2 plus 2 times r equals 4. So that gives you 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Now we don't want the 6 here, we want to move it beside the 4, so it'll be take away. So 2r becomes 4, take away 6. 2r is negative 2, and then r is negative 1. Now that's your 2 answers. Now what you should do is, and I always say if you've got time to do it in the exam, do this. Let's go to the first equation. We didn't use that, and let's see if with these two values, p2 and r minus 1, when we work out 2p take away 7r, do we get 11? Well, let's just check it out. We're going to get 2p take away 7r will be 2 times 2 because p is 2, take away 7 times negative 1 because r is negative 1. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. A negative 7 times negative 1 is a positive number. It's going to be positive 7. And 4 and 7 is 11. And there you go. That's the answer. And that's a quick check. You should always do that if you can. Number 8. We have the graph of y equals a cosine bx between 0, x is between 0 and 360 as shown. We want to state the value of a. Now let's look at the cosine graph that we know about. The maximum value is 1, but here the maximum value is 7. So what we've done is we've multiplied the y here by 7, so we can get the value of a quite quickly by saying a equals 7. Now how do we get b? Well, how many waves can I see between 0 and 360 here? Well, it's one complete wave, another complete wave, so it's 2 waves in a full turn, so this number here, b, has to be equal to 2, and that's the answer. 2 marks, 1 for each of these, and that's how you do that. Okay, next question. We have, in a car rally, competitors start at different times. The scatter graph shows the relationship between the length of time they have been driving and the distance to the finish line. So d is a distance and t is a time, and these are the points that we found. A line of best fit has been drawn, that's that straight line. Point A represents a competitor who's been driving for 3 minutes, so we can say that at that point we know what the numbers are. It's t is 3 and d is 26, and then we can do the same for the next one. It tells you point P is the time is 10 and the distance is 12 from the finishing line. So we can put these down as coordinates. 3, 26, and then the other one's going to be 10, 12. We want to find an equation of the line of best fit in terms of d and t. So the first thing we've got to do is find the gradient. So the gradient of the line joining A and B is the difference in the y's divided by the difference in the x's. So let's start with this point. 12 take away 26 on the top, and over 10 take away 3. Do it in the same way. You have to do it from this point to that point. Or you could do it the other way, but I'm doing it this way. Now we go 12 take away 26 is negative 14, and 10 take away 3 is 7. Divide that and you get a negative number, you get negative 2, and that's what you'd expect because this slope of the line is going downhill, and downhill lines have a negative gradient. Now we want to find the equation, so we say the equation of AB is given by y minus b equals mx minus a. I'm going to use this as a and b. M, of course, is the number we just found here, so let's replace that in and get the answer. But before I do it, I'm going to not use y and x, because x is t, and that's why I put t here, change this x to that t, and then y is actually d for distance, so this y has changed to d. I've put the numbers in now, a and b. A comes from the first coordinate here, and b comes from the second coordinate here, and I've put them in like that. Let's multiply it out. So we get d take away 2 is negative 2t plus 20. Don't forget a negative times a negative is a positive. And now we want to tidy this up and say d is going to equal then, how do I get 32? Well, this negative 12 goes over and becomes a positive 12. 12 and 20 makes 32, and then you've got take away 2t. And that's the equation. That's worth 3 marks. There's a second part to this question. It says, another competitor has been driving for 7 minutes. Use your equation from part A to estimate the distance that the competitor is from the starting line, or finishing line, sorry. So we've got our equation from part A. All we need to do is change, this is the time, so this t will change into 7. So it's going to become d equals 32 take away 2 times 7. 2 7s are 14, so it's 32 take away 14, and that gives you a value of 18. Now you shouldn't just leave it as a number, because this line for d is measured in kilometers here, so you have to put in kilometers. And that's the answer for 1 mark. Okay, question 10. Now this question shows a circle centre O. AC is a tangent, there it is there, and CE is also a tangent. We've got 2 tangents touching at B and D respectively, and we've given this angle here is 125. I want to calculate this angle down here. Now there's a number of ways you can do it, but the way that I like to do it is look at this arc. There are 2 angles standing on the arc. There's an angle at the circumference, which is the blue angle, and then there's an angle at the centre, which is the red angle. Now, we can calculate this blue angle because it's on a straight line. OE is a straight line. We've got this angle here, so we can calculate that. It's going to be 55 degrees. Now there's a law that says the angle at the centre standing on the same arc is twice the angle at the circumference. So we need to double this number here to get this angle here, and we get the answer 110. Now this shape OBCD is a kite. We know that this is 90 and that's 90. The opposites add up to 180. So it's the same for this. The opposite angles add up to 180. So the angle we want down the bottom is going to be 180 take away 110, and it's 70 degrees. Okay then, question 11. Worth 2 marks this question. It says we want to, a straight line has this equation, we want to find the gradient. Now the first thing you should always remember is, we know that if you can write the line as a single y equals mx plus c, then m is the gradient. So let's do that. Let's tidy this up. There's my equation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move everything that's not y to the right hand side. So negative 24 becomes plus 24 and x becomes take away x. So what we get is 4y will be 24 take away x. We don't want 4y, we want y, so we just divide everything by 4. So we get 6 take away a quarter x. The gradient is the number in front of x. It's not just a quarter, it's a negative number there, so the answer is the gradient is equal to negative a quarter. That's worth 2 marks. We want to express this quadratic in this form here. This is called the vertex form. So what we'll do is we'll say there is what we want to change into a square form plus b. So what we do is we say we have to change it into two numbers that multiply together. We know that this has to be the same number that goes there and there, because that's going to be a square number, and they must add up to give 6. So the answer is going to be 3 and 3. But then if you multiply negative 3 by negative 3, you'll get an extra part. You won't just get the first 2, you'll get plus 9 on top of that. So you've got to subtract 9, which is subtract 3 squared. And then you add the 8, which is the last part here. So then we go, these two things are the same, so you can put down 1 bracket squared. 3 squared is 9 plus 8, so the answer is going to be, tidy up, it's going to be x take away 3 all squared, take away 1 or subtract 1. And that's what you have up there. Of course, a then will be 3, and then b becomes negative 1. Now we want the turning point. Well, the turning point comes from this. We get the x-coordinate by changing this negative to a positive, and then the y-coordinate is just this number at the end, negative 1. So we can write down the turning point, TP equals 3, negative 1. Okay then, next part. We have, there's the graph of y equals x squared take away 6x plus 8. And we have a line PQ parallel to the x-axis, and we want to find the coordinates of Q. That's what it says down there, find the coordinates of Q. First thing we've got to do is we've got to say to ourselves, well, at P is sitting on the y-axis, so the x-coordinate has to be 0. Because here, you're not going to the right, you're not going to the left, you're just going up. So the x-coordinate is 0, and all we need to do is put it into the equation. We can then say, put x into this equation here, so you're going to have 0 squared take away 6 times 0 plus 8. Well, of course, these two terms will become 0. The answer is just going to become y equals 8. So we know that P is the point 0, 8. Now, there's a number of ways you can get the next one, but the quickest way to do it is to just draw the line of symmetry. We know the turning point was 3, negative 1, so we're coming from the origin, we're coming 3 across, so we can then say that the equation of the line of symmetry is x equals 3. So from this point here, x equals 0, this is 3. That's also 3. So to get from P to Q, you have to go 6 to the right. So we can then say that Q is going to be 6, 8. you're on the same y height. Yeah, the y distance has to be the same as b, because look, the y coordinate's 8, the y coordinate's 8, but q is 6 units to the right of it from this diagram here, and that's worth 2 marks. Okay, here's question 13. Expand and simplify fully x times x to the power a half plus x to the power negative 1. So we have to multiply the two terms in the bracket by x. So what we get is we have x times x to the power a half plus x times x to the power minus 1. Now we've got the same base. When we multiply numbers that have got the same base, then we just add the indices. So we're going to have x to the power 1 plus a half, and then x to the power 1 plus minus 1. Don't forget, x is x to the power 1. Again, x is x to the power 1. You just add 1 and a half and 1 and minus 1. Now you just do that now. You get the answer. X to the power 3 halves. 1 plus minus 1 is x to the power 0. And then x to the power 0 is 1. And that's the final answer. Okay, we come to the last question. In the diagram, triangles ABC and ADE are mathematically similar. We're given BC is 3 centimeters and DE is 7, and we're told that AD is 10.5. We want to calculate the length of BD. Well, what can we say? We can say that BD is going to be AD take away AB. We know AD is 10.5. All we need to do now is calculate AB, and we do that because it says up here they are mathematically similar. Now, when they are similar triangles, then they are equiangular and the sides are in proportion. So we can say this angle belongs to the small triangle and the big triangle. This one will be the same as this one because they are corresponding angles, and that will be the same as that, again, because they are corresponding angles. We want to find AB. What can we say? Well, AB relates to AD on the big one, so we can say AB over AD is equal to BC over DE. And we can then put numbers in. AD is 10.5, BC is 3, and DE is 7. We then take 3/7 of 10.5. If you divide 10.5 by 7, you get 1.5. Then you've got to multiply it by 3, so the answer is going to be 4.5. Now we take this back up to here, and then we can say that BD is what we wanted, is going to be 10.5 take away 4.5, and that's 6 centimeters. And that's the end of the paper.